If you are suddenly locked out of your bank accounts, full broadest base of buyer. Now, if everything is digital, then there's some more issues around that. And that's the battle. We have to retain those choices, because once we give up those choices and they have everybody locked in and tied together, they gotcha. And there's nothing you can do about it. That's the battle. And maybe if you're older like I am, maybe it doesn't, 30, 40 more years, which is a long time. It can be a really long time. But I'm looking at my children, my grandchildren, the great-grandchildren that I don't have yet. And you guys know, I want everybody's children to retain opportunities and choices. It's critically important that we come together, we don't fight each other. That's not where this battle is. That's not where the real battle is. It's really scary. And again, when everything is held in one place, India is a great experimenter. I mean, they set up the Aadhaar system a number of years ago. Biometrics went through the whole country, got everybody's iris scans, fingerprints, everything. They have this big, huge database. And now, I love this, India unveiled a data sharing system that could revolutionize investing and credit. They want us all to be debt slaves because, again, they have us all by the cojones. When you owe money, they have you by the cojones. If you own nothing, okay, regulators agreed to allow banks, pension funds, tax authorities, insurers, and other finance firms to pool together customer information. Of course, you have to consent. Well, let's see. I think it's pretty easy to coerce people to consent. You can't use the system unless you get... Regulators agreed. Okay, but this is going to make transactions much simpler. This is going to bring a lot of naive people into the credit system. What's the other side of credit? Debt. If the system works, firms will be able to access large amounts of data within seconds to assess the credit worthiness of a small business, recommend a wealth management product for an individual, or tailor an insurance policy for a family. In other words, they're going to know exactly how to sell you whatever products they want to sell you. This is the problem is one of the problems with having so much data information. Is it really in your best interest? That's the way they always sell it. And maybe you think it is. I mean, I have my opinions. You get to have your opinions. They don't necessarily always have to agree. But I find this is true. When we look at things just a little differently, it's amazing what we see. So let's do that, because we know what just happened in Afghanistan. And we know that we left a lot of equipment behind, tanks and guns and all of that stuff. But the real story is the Afghan biometric databases that have been abandoned to the Taliban. And they include personal information, name, date, place of birth, as well as unique ID number that connects each profile to a biometric profile. But it also contains detail on the individual's military specialists and career trajectory, as well as sensitive relational data such as the names of their fathers, uncles, grandfathers, as well as the names of the 2 tribal leaders per recruit who served as guarantors for their enlistment. Now, some people might say, well, that's India and well, that's Afghanistan. But I'm telling you, this is global. This is global. They get enough data on this. They know our heartbeat. They know what our habits are. They know every penny that we have in income. They know every penny that we spend and what we spend it on. They know everything. They can use that and manipulate us to move in the direction they want us to move in. This is called perception management. And it was formalized back in Reagan's era in the 80s. When he brought Rupert Murdoch over here and allowed him to build a U.S. empire, advertising empire. I'm telling you, it's just an evolution. This very much reminds me of Aldous Huxley's A Brave New World. It was written in the 20s, and if you haven't read it, or if you haven't read it in a while, go back and read it and see if it doesn't resonate with what we're seeing unfold around the whole world. Because it isn't that is there, this is here. We are all one big world, and we're all interconnected. They just want us to think that there are differences, and there are so far, but those differences are going away. They're going away. Because it's much easier to control people that way. Food is the single biggest issue when you go through a hyperinflationary reset. You only have to look south to Venezuela or anywhere else in the world. So if you're wealthy and that loaf of bread now costs $20, but you're talking about the 1% or even the top 10%. It matters for the bottom 50% or 70%. It matters. They're going to have to choose between food and something else. Because you can live with that something else, but you've got to eat. You've got to have clean water. Hence my mantra: food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, shelter, and under food, I'm going to put medicines if you have a chronic illness. Personally, I think it's better if you can, just boost your immune system so that you don't have any of those illnesses. And certainly if it's something that you can repair with food and exercise, it's a much better choice. And you can definitely grow medicinal plants